don't know if there are any further additions to the agenda or not. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. First thing on the agenda would be the minutes and the action report from the meeting of August 23rd. And we'll accept the motion to accept the minutes as presented. Moved by Councillor Stoyle, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locke. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes as presented from August 23rd? Errors or omissions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Any business arising then from the minutes of August 23rd? Now is the time. Business arising. Going once. Going twice. No business arising. Oh, there is business? No? All right, let's get to the proclamations. We have 4 proclamations that we're going to be signing today, Council. And they are listed on the agenda, so I'm just going to do them in the order as they are presented. I want to first of all welcome to the Chamber and introduce Christine Henneberry, whom I think everybody knows Christine anyway. She is the Grand Poobah of the arts community of AMP, the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl. We're going to invite you to come forward, Christine. I'm going to read the proclamation into the record. I'm going to sign it, and then I'm going to ask you to address council about your plans for the week. And we're going to get you to do that up here, because now that we do these things on the internet, we have to have you come up here to do that. So here's the proclamation. It is relating to Mount Pearl Arts Week. Whereas creativity and artistic expression can be a part of every life, whether as an audience, a member, an artist, or fan. Whereas everyone has the right to enjoy and explore their creativity to the fullest. And whereas participation in the arts is widely recognized to increase happiness, relaxation, and life satisfaction. And whereas the citizens of Mount Pearl are becoming increasingly involved in the activities of the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl. And Christine, we have you to thank for some of that. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim the week of September 10th to the 17th, 2011 to be Arts Week in the City of Mount Pearl. I encourage all citizens to use this week to find ways to participate in the arts and to enhance their creativity. And with that, I'm going to give you this, because that's what you've got to talk into. I will actually sign the proclamation, Christine, and invite you to address council and tell us about Arts Week in Mount Pearl this year and your plans.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Sims and Deputy Mayor Locke, to all the councillors and the staff for the opportunity to speak to my proclamation. The Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl believes that artistic and cultural development within a city increases quality of life for all citizens. And in keeping with that belief, we provide support for artists and their work, and we create opportunities for artists and citizens to explore their artistic interests. Art Fusion Festival and Arts Week speaks directly to our mission by providing opportunities for artists to display their work, to interact with the general public, and it provides the opportunity for the public to participate in the arts at their own comfort level, even if that's doodling at your kitchen table at home. Good by us. Between September 10th and 17th, we're offering a full festival on Saturday, and we have 18 other events next week for adults, youth, and kids, and I'm sure I'll see you all at all of them. You can register by either calling our cell phone 765-9383, or you can just email info@amp.ca. And we'll have a display here at City Hall, and we'll have daily arts challenges on our website. Aside from our festival, where we have, I think, 10 musicians and dancers performing, and a variety of display artists and opportunities for you to participate in the arts by doing something as simple as putting your thumbprint in as a leaf on a tree. We also have a murder mystery going on Sunday night at Park Place, which you're all welcome to attend. It's a fundraiser for our association. We have a storytelling night, not this Thursday, but next Thursday as part of Arts Week. And we have a youth open mic to celebrate our artistic youth here in the city. Of course, there are 14 other events, and if you want to find out some more about them, it's amp.ca, .ca, not .com. That brings you to the American Association of Meat Packers. No good. Well, it's good for them. Sorry, meat packers. /Art Fusion, or if you just go to amp.ca, it can redirect you to there. So thank you again, and thank you for declaring this Arts Week.
Well, Christine, thank you very much. Council, any comment from anyone on council?
Just
We're going to get a picture of it
Your worship.
here, but we'll do this first.
Yeah,
Councillor Walsh?
I just want to echo your sentiments and thank Christine for her continued leadership. I know the summer programs have been well attended, and despite a miserable summer, we actually had some decent weather for those. But one of the things on the agenda today is actually the Saturday Art Fusion. So I think it's from 12 to 6?
Yes.
So this Saturday, all kinds of activities, and again, just to thank you and to echo the sentiments of all council and senior staff, I'm sure, in saying that it is because of your efforts and people like you in the breadth of arts that are involved here in Mount Pearl that we are beginning to really thrive as an arts community, and we very much appreciate that. So hopefully we'll get a good crowd and some decent weather for Saturday's event, so we'll look forward to that.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Silver, you're getting your snap took now?
Okay. With Mike or without?
No, without Mike. We're going to do it like this. Look,
Oh, okay. Excellent. I'll put this down.
let's do that,
Okay.
and we'll smile like we're guilty. There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, Christine, thank you very much. Your work on this is truly, truly appreciated.
Thanks, Christine.
It's great. Who's going to be around next weekend? Who's going to be here? October 9th, 10th, and 11th, is it? 10th and 11th primarily. I will not be.
I have the lupus quite bad.
I'm going to be in Gander. The 9/11 things. I'm being called to Gander. Yeah, that weekend.
I'm up to Celtic Vanderbilt with lupus, so I won't be around.
Okay. Well, hopefully most of us will be here and be able to participate in some of the activities. I'd like to go to the murder mystery Sunday night. I think that's cool. They're a good time. Yeah, you solved that. Well, you try to. You try to.
It's 97th birthday at my house.
There's still space. Thank you, Christine, very much. Our second proclamation today is from the Arthritis Society. I want to welcome Marilyn Butt here with us today. And Marilyn, we're going to repeat this process, okay? So we're going to want you to come up with us. We will read the proclamation into the record and sign it and ask you to address some of the activities that you have planned, obviously, for September. Whereas September is known as Arthritis Awareness Month, during which time the Arthritis Society promotes public awareness about this chronic disease that can affect children, adults, and the elderly. The Society educates people about this disease through the Arthritis Information Line, the Arthritis Society's website, the Arthritis Public Forum Series, the Arthritis Self-Management Program, and chronic pain management workshops. The Society strives to build positive relationships with elected officials in an effort to establish equitable access to care and treatment for arthritis. Through education, support, understanding, and awareness of arthritis, the Society helps nearly 4.5 million people and raises funds through door-to-door canvassing and initiatives such as Go Blue and Give To and Bluebird Sales. Arthritis Awareness Month will focus on communities committed to a world without arthritis, providing help to those living with arthritis, and supporting innovative research to ultimately find a cure for this debilitating disease. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Randy Sims, hereby proclaim September 2011 as Arthritis Awareness Month in the city of Mount Pearl. And with that, I will affix my signature, Marilyn. I'm going to give this to you now. It's your turn. And please tell Council some of the plans and activities of Arthritis Awareness Month in Mount Pearl this year.
Okay, for September being Arthritis Awareness Month, we have two major campaigns for you to participate in. One is our Go Blue campaign, and we encourage the City of Mount Pearl, schools and businesses to participate by going blue for a day and to help raise money for the Arthritis Society so they can find a cure for arthritis. We encourage everyone who has joint pain to go to our website at arthritis.ca and take our quiz to determine if their pain is caused by arthritis. Establishing an early, accurate diagnosis of arthritis is important since therapies work best when they are started as early as possible. Contrary to popular belief, arthritis is not a disease of the elderly. Of the more than 4 million Canadians with arthritis, Approximately 60% of them are of working age. The Arthritis Society offers many useful resources for Canadians looking to manage arthritis. We have a toll-free information line and an excellent website. We also offer the Arthritis Self-Management Program and a Chronic Pain Management Workshop, which informs participants on how to handle pain and stress, establish good eating habits, and how to exercise with arthritis, and most of all, to let them know they're not alone. There are over 100,000 people in our province with arthritis. Please help us to help them by letting them know the Arthritis Society is here to help. Encourage them to give our office a call, visit our website, or attend any of our workshops. Thank you, and remember, go blue.
Go Blue. We'll do
Go
that.
blue.
Marilyn, thank you very much. We're going to take this from you. Jason's going to do his thing again.
Okay.
Here, we're going to present you with the proclamation, and thank you very much for all the good work you're doing on behalf of arthritis sufferers in our province. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate it. You take that one with you. I did not know that there was 100,000. That's almost 25% of the population of this province. That's a lot. You know? Yeah. So. Thank you, Marilyn, very much. Our third proclamation today, we have Denise Hayes here with us. Denise is here, and we also have Megan Kennedy, I believe, with us as well. You guys want to come up, and we'll repeat this process. How's that? All right, this council, this is a proclamation today regarding Sexual Violence Awareness Week, which this year will be dated September 12th to the 16th, 2011. The proclamation reads, whereas the Newfoundland and Labrador Sexual Assault Crisis and Prevention Centre works to provide response, information, and education to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador in the areas of sexual violence. And whereas the Newfoundland and Labrador Sexual Assault Crisis and Prevention Centre is now commemorating the 12th anniversary of Sexual Violence Awareness Week, as well as the 27th anniversary of the Take Back the Night March to further the common goal of eliminating sexual violence. And whereas the theme for Sexual Violence Awareness Week 2011 is It's Time, which recognizes the important role of every individual to act, to educate, to empower, to unite, and to create the change needed to end sexual violence. And whereas sexual assault is a crime that can affect anyone regardless of factors such as age, gender, ability, socioeconomic status, cultural background, or other variables, and whereas the rate of sexual assault in Newfoundland and Labrador continues to be higher than the national average, disappointing to know that, and yet it remains severely underreported. And whereas this municipal government recognizes the need for people in our province to live in safe and caring communities where violence is unacceptable and supports efforts that raise awareness and educate the public, therefore be it resolved that I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, do hereby proclaim September 12th to 16th a Sexual Violence Awareness Week, and I encourage all citizens to become involved in activities organized throughout this week. And with that, I'm going to sign both of these. Is that the idea? Yes, please. Okay, we will do that. And Denise, we are going to give you the microphone and invite you to tell us about the week and what is planned, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor Sims, and thank you, Council, City of Mount Pearl, for signing a proclamation. It's important that if communities and cities want to be vibrant communities, then we have to ensure the safety of all of its citizens, particularly the 52% who sometimes are the most vulnerable. We do have a week full of activities planned, and they range from a youth night, where we will have young children from the Virginia Park Community Center come in. We'll be providing them with some fun, some entertainment. They will also be making signs, and these are the signs that the women who come to the Take Back the Night March will be carrying during the march. So it's quite poignant to see these signs that are made by the young children in our cities. I would like to challenge all of council this year, every one of you here. We do have a men's event that happens simultaneously while the march is going on, we'd like to invite the women here to come out to the march as well. Our theme this year is It's Time, and it is time for everyone to realize that sexual violence is something we need to talk about, is something we all need to take action about. It's not a pleasant topic. It's not something that we like to talk about, but it needs to be brought out. And it's also time that we realize that we need stiffer penalties, stiffer sentences. And it's only through actions such as cities and municipalities coming together and signing these proclamations that's going to happen. So again, thank you very much for giving us this time, this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, and it is my honor to have signed this for you this year once again. And I'm going to present, well, I'm keeping one of them. I'm going to present one to you. Megan, get in the picture with us here.
Come right on up there. Did you?
Yeah, come on up. Free reign in this place today, always. Okay.
Just to be sure.
There. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise, very much. We appreciate it. Appreciate all of your work.
Friday the 16th. The march is on the third Friday of early September. And if I might note that march happens all throughout North America and most countries in Europe as well. So it happens at the same time every year. And starts at Badminton Park at 7 o'clock. And while that's happening, in the city of St. John, the city hall, there is a men's event that's happening as well, and men's awareness event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Denise, and good luck with it again this year. Our fourth and final proclamation today, Council, is to recognize Shine Week. September 9th, by the way, is Shine Day. We have with us Rebecca King. Rebecca is here, and she's going to come up with us, and we're going to read this proclamation into the record books and invite Rebecca then to tell us about their plans for the week. This, of course, deals primarily with cystic fibrosis. Council, Cystic Fibrosis Canada is a Canada-wide health charity with more than 50 volunteer chapters whose mission is to raise monies to fund cystic fibrosis research and care. CF Canada is a world leader in the fight against cystic fibrosis. The gene responsible for CF was identified back in 1989 by a Canadian-led team of researchers supported by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Canadian investigators continue to play a leading role in the worldwide race to find a cure or a control for this disease. For 47 years, Shinorama students from across Canada have been raising money and awareness in the fight against CF. Memorial University will be holding a Shinorama campaign again in the month of September. Join the fight against the most common, fatal, inherited disease affecting young Canadians by supporting Memorial University's Shine Day on September 9th. It will be held throughout different locations throughout the city. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Randy Sims, on behalf of the City of Mount Pearl and City Council, to hereby proclaim September 5th to 11th as Shine Week, and I encourage all residents to support the fight against the devastating disease by participating in Memorial University's Shine Day. And with that, I will affix my signature. And Rebecca, I invite you to address council on some of the plans that you have for the week. And we'll get you to use this because on the internet, without this, they can't hear you.
Thank you. During orientation week on Friday, September the 9th, 2011, Memorial University will be hosting its annual Shine Day, a fundraiser in support of the organization Cystic Fibrosis Canada. Many of you already know about Shinorama and have donated or even volunteered during previous campaigns. Shinorama is a nationwide fundraiser for cystic fibrosis, also known as CF. As Canada's largest fundraising event for post-secondary students, Shinorama raises nearly $1 million annually in support of the CF Foundation's goal of finding a cure or effective control for CF. Since Shinorama began in 1964, the median age of survival for people with CF has increased from 3 years of age to mid-30s. However, CF still remains fatal in all cases. Last year, Memorial University, including Munn School of Nursing and the Center for Nursing Studies, raised approximately $23,000 during our campaign. We also received one of 3 national awards for Most Improved Campaign in 2008. This was accomplished by students who came out on Sean Day to participate in car washes and joined hundreds of other students at Munn throughout the city to raise funds for this worthy cause. This year, our campaign goal is to raise $26,000. We hope to get approximately 400 volunteers to help out through the day from 9 o'clock to 6 on September the 9th, who can take shifts or come for the entire day. There will be a morning breakfast, snacks, and barbecue for volunteers at the University Center when they return from their Sean sites. Sean sites are scattered throughout both the city of St. John's and Mount Pearl at various businesses and workplaces such as Sobeys, Irving's, Zellers, etc. Prizes are also awarded to volunteers who raise the most money. Please spread the word about Sean-orama and encourage all friends and family to come out and donate this coming Sean Day, September the 9th. Also, more information can be found, and you can also donate online at www.seanorama.ca. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, and that's good to know, and good to know that this tradition really is what it is, continues after all of these years. It's wonderful. Good to see students like yourself out actively engaged in this kind of activity. They're good today. I'm just saying, they're good today. Maybe on the 9th we'll get them done for sure. There you go. Thank you, Rebecca, very much. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Anybody with a comment on any of these items? So far, thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. I can warn you that you can stay if you want to be bored to death. But you are, council agrees with me on that, but you are all free to go. It is not a prison. Thank you, everybody, very much. We appreciate it and all the fine work that you're doing in the community. 4 proclamations today, all of it dealing with a lot of community activity. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our little part of the world. Most of it good, thank God. Next, we're going to go to committee reports then, and I guess we're ready to begin. We're going to start with community services. Councillor Walsh, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. We have several items, the first of which is today, actually, the 6th of September, is the start of both our online and at-site registration for our fall programs. They'll continue Mondays to Thursdays during the workday, in fact, even through until 7:45 at night. And on Friday from 8:15 to 3:45 until the programs are filled. So this is for information of council only. Related to that same fall activity guide, the printed copies of the booklet, which covers typesetting, artwork, design, printing, folding, and all other preparations related to that. We had 2 quotes for that, one from the British group and Transcontinental Media. Transcontinental was the low bidder, and we're recommending that this year's print be done by Transcontinental at a cost of $85.34 plus HST, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Councillor Lane. Questions or comments?
Yes, Your Worship.
Councillor Lane.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a question about the first one, but I never got an opportunity to ask.
Ask both of them. Go right ahead.
All right. On the first item, Your Worship, about the registration for swimming.
Yes.
I recall last year that we had an issue whereby there were, I think, non-residents who. There was a problem with the way it was set up, in that there was no gap between when residents could register versus when anybody could register. And as a result of that, I can recall last year we had some problems whereby there was people saying, you know, I was lined up for hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you had people from outside of Mount Pearl taking up the spots. And I thought we had said at that time that we would have a protocol in place that would give Mount Pearl residents the first opportunity, maybe for the first day or 2 days, and then it would be open to everybody. I'm wondering, has that been done in this case this year?
Councillor Walsh or Mr. Chimarni? Councillor Walsh?
We may get both, actually. First of all, this registration is for the fall program. The swimming registration actually took place last week, I think. And there were some glitches, unfortunately, with some of the online registration. Again, sort of glitches that you more or less anticipate with electronic registration. But they were covered off, and I think staff did a good job following up with people where there were some problems highlighted.
I have not received any complaints. I don't know about anybody else.
I
at
received
council.
one only that I was aware of, but I'm sure staff on the front lines
Probably
handled
did.
most of them
Yeah.
and were able to deal with most of them. I can't answer the question as to whether or not this time we had a separate registration, so I'll defer to Mr. Chimarni.
Mr. Chimarni?
We did, Councillor Lane. We had on the 29th, the Sunday was for, the 28th, I believe would have been the Sunday for Citizens First. And then that started at 9 a.m. on the Sunday. And then Monday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, it opened up to everybody else. Okay. And just to touch on, there were a few minor glitches. We were able to satisfy the majority of the issues that came up. Just for council's information, we do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning with staff that have been involved with the program to just see what we can solve and any issues that to be more prepared for next time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call the question on the motion. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. How was the first day back to school, Deputy Mayor Locke? It was very good. It was good? Excellent. And
Any young people back to school yet? No.
now tomorrow, and that leads me into this next item, Your Worship. Of course, tomorrow is the first day back for the students at all grade levels, or most grade levels for sure, and the teachers in most cases went back to work today. So obviously a lot of care and a lot of extra caution, particularly driving, as well as for the pedestrians. Many of them, their first day back to school ever, or first day to school, and for many others, their first day back in 2.5 months. So it's a big day. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation, and it's probably, I heard two startling statistics. The one I wasn't startled by at all, that this is actually the busiest day for traffic of the entire year, supposedly. The
Today?
First day back. No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
First day back
What
to
I
school
want to tell you
for
is pretty
children.
busy today.
And I also heard, this is in the category of on a need-to-know basis only, but this is trivia only. They tell me that there's more bread sold this day of the year than any other day of the entire calendar year.
More bread.
More
sold.
bread. Yep. Yep. They apparently sell more bread and prepare more for bread sales for this day than any other day. That's a little bit of trivia.
Well, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought that?
Just
Anyway,
goes to show.
just by way of information, we have had our traffic calmers out at a couple of locations just to remind people to drive carefully and to remind our drivers, residents, visitors that the back-to-school thing starts tomorrow. And we will be moving these traffic calmers around over the next couple of weeks to continuously remind people that, particularly in our school zones, but all throughout the main thoroughfares and side streets in Mount Pearl, just to be a little bit more attentive and to give the young people and the many anxious parents the opportunity to set back into the routine of back to school. So that's just for some information.
It's good. Yes, Deputy Mayor Locke.
I think it's a great initiative to bring out the traffic calmers, but speaking with several people throughout the summer, and the issue with traffic in the school zones, was brought up probably on four or five occasions. Mm-hmm. And the question that was posed was, why can't we do something a little more aggressively? I know, for example, one time south of the border, we were driving through a school zone, and I'll tell you what, they had the pylons put out, and they had the state police there with the flashing lights, and it said, 15 miles an hour, and if you broke it, you were hammered with a heavy, heavy fine, because we all know the speeding that takes place on Ruth Avenue. And I'm just wondering if the city ever looked at anything, or if it's our jurisdiction to do so, whereby, I know in Paradise, for example, at the new school, they got the two big speed bumps to and fro that slow people down. And yes, the traffic calmer will work in some cases, but whether or not it addresses the issue of speeding in the school zones. And I'm wondering if we can't look at something whereby, we have reduced speed limits. So, like, for example, on Ruth Avenue between 8:15 and 8:30, we tell the drivers that, listen, maximum speed limit is 25 kilometers per hour. And from 2:30 till 3:15, when the bulk of the kiddies are walking or bike riding or on their scooters, that we reduce the speed limit again to 30 kilometers an hour. And if you break the speed limit, you hit them with a heavy fine. Because I think these traffic calmers, while they're good, I don't think they address the major issue of speeding in school zones. And I thought of this as the City of St. John's raised the whole issue of crossing guards and whose responsibility it was. And as a teacher, as an educator, and as a parent, I think it's everyone's responsibility for this. And whether or not it's municipal, provincial, or national, I think someone's got to take the bull by the horns here and do something. So I think I'd like to look at it. If we haven't done it already, if we can do it within our jurisdiction. I'm thinking of Mary Queen of the World on Topsail Road. And it didn't matter, south of the border, where these streets were. People knew that you slowed down to a snail's pace at this time period. And if you didn't, there were consequences. Not a $50 fine. They hit you hard with the fine and take some demerit points. I think it's too late when a kid gets crippled or knocked down because of that. So I just throw that out there. I don't know if we can bring that to the committee of the whole to discuss it or back to one of the committees.
I would say that would go to a Public Works Committee.
I'd like to see a more
Probably
aggressive
Community
approach.
services.
Anyways, I throw it out there as food for thought, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Tessier.
We just actually got back from the States, and one thing that I noticed is funny because when you started talking, Councillor Walsh, about the school zones and speeding and all of that stuff, I wrote down MEOs, RNC, enforce. I'm hoping that any official on the road who has the ability to be very strict with speed limits in school zones particularly, I hope that they do take action because I think that that's when people really unfortunately learn, hopefully that way instead of an accident. But one thing that I did see in the States, along roadways were solar-powered, something kind of like our traffic calmer. It was like a digital sign, solar-powered, and it said, above it was a painted sign that said, speed limit is 35 when this is flashing. And it was, again, solar-powered, and they could operate it remotely. So if there was something going on, if there was some kind of accident or something like that, they could notify the public. If we had ones like that in school zones that we could activate during the peak periods, from now till now, the speed limit in this zone is.
That's a good idea.
I tell you, they were everywhere. They were absolutely everywhere.
Well, let's research that. Can't community services research that kind of that's a better solution than the speed bump.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and if I could, the idea, and I know you're aware of this, Deputy Mayor Locke, that the idea of the calmer is not for traffic control at all. It's simply a reminder that children are back to school this week. So this council and actually previous councils in Mount Pearl haven't been big fans of speed bumps for a number of reasons. But what I do like about what both of you say is that we really have to look at not just September and the return to school, but better enforcement and better regulation at all times throughout the year during at these school zones. Again, if you want, we can look at it. It probably will be perhaps in consultation with Public Works as well, because while we do the enforcement piece, it's also an issue with Public Works as well in terms of a lot of the other components like signage and other considerations. So we'll look at that, and I appreciate the comments and support of my colleagues in council for that as well. So just moving on, that was obviously for information only. Excuse me, Your Worship. The next item was the Mount Pearl Skate and Ride Park. We have our grand opening next Thursday evening on the 15th. We've got a great lineup of activities, and as you can see from the lineup, it's very, very much focused on where it should be, which is on the youth that use this park. We have a demonstration from Turn Down BMX bikers and skateboard team. We have a hip-hop DJ. We have our municipal enforcement people and crime prevention committees will be providing barbecue at the facility. Obviously, we'll have our greetings and ceremonies from our municipal officials and from the mayor cutting the ribbon. We also have an interesting presentation from the Brain Injury Association of Canada, and the purpose of that really is to focus attention on the importance of helmet use and how it can prevent serious injury, and to try to drive home that message to the users of the park that having a helmet on can really prevent an awful injury that can have debilitating and long-lasting effects. There will be lots of prizes and more information available. I just want to get the word out there that it is on Thursday, September 15th, next Thursday evening, and we look forward to a good crowd there. I do hope as well that we'll take advantage of the opportunity, Mr. Tremerny, to actually contact the actual skaters who at least were contributors to the design of the park, and many of them were involved with the webinars and that sort of thing. So if we haven't done that already, I'd ask if you could just pass that on and make sure that the people who are on that contact list are included in the invitation, and because they really did make a tremendous contribution to how that park came out in the end. So I'd like to have them involved as well.
Councillor Stoyles.
I've been at the park a number of times with my grandson, watching more so than him participating, because he's only 5 years old, but it is a wonderful spot. But unfortunately, next Thursday night, I'm at a meeting with M&L in Harbour Breton, and I'm leaving 2 or 3 o'clock to drive out because my meeting starts at 7.
So you're going to miss the opening?
So I'm going to miss the opening, so could you please pass along
No.
my regrets, because unfortunately I would love to be there, but
No, we're going to tell everybody you'd rather be in Harbour Breton.
the meeting has been scheduled for a while,
What do you think?
and I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it.
No problem.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah. You're safer in Harbour Breton rather than put us on a skateboard, I'll tell you that. Deputy Mayor.
I too have been down to the skate park. I'm amazed at the uptake. There's just so many kids down there. The number of kiddies I'm seeing scooting by on their bikes, their scooters, their skateboards, and all this sort of stuff.
Well, you got to be careful using the term kiddies too.
Yeah,
What I see down there wouldn't call themselves kiddies.
No, not all of them, depending on the time of the day. But I was encouraged to see that over the last 5 or 6 times that I've been down there, that increasing, I've seen more helmets, which I found encouraging. On all the young kiddies had them, but even some of the teenagers that initially weren't wearing them. I saw a couple of the older folk down there, which was good to see. But to Councillor Walsh's point about trying to get out the students that or the young folk that were involved in the design of it, I was at school today, and a mother came in, introduced herself, and she thanked me and asked me to pass on thanks to council for this project. Her children were involved with it. And she said while she was away, her kids went down at 5:30 in the morning one morning to get down there because they had to get stunts with the sunrise. And she said they got some beautiful shots of the kiddies on their bikes doing their with the sunrise in the background and the sunset. So I asked her. Well, this is my point.
I got to tell you.
So I asked if she could forward those pictures, and maybe we can post them on the website. But I just extend the congratulations that she extended to me and asked me to pass it on to all of council. She's delighted. Her kids are delighted. She's delighted with the fact that it's where it's located. It's a good location. It's visible, and it's a great venue. And like I said, there's thousands of kids after participating down there. So I think it was a great decision on behalf of council and a great investment. So kudos to all, and I just wanted to pass it on.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. And I think it's a tribute to our staff and council that we actually went the extra mile, not only to coordinate with the young people the design of the park, but also put a contract out to a professional company. These are professionally developed, apparatus that are really helpful, and because of that, I think the people who are using the park, both the bikers and the skaters, are able to enjoy it even that much better because the right apparatus is in place, and all of that is very important. I don't understand the detail of it quite honestly, but I know that the young people who were involved in the webinars that I attended, they do, and they made a great contribution. So thank you for that again, and we're all, I think, pretty excited and proud of that park. Just another little holler for the Art Fusion taking place on Saturday from 12 to 2 here at the park next door. Hopefully we'll get a good day for that. And of course the entire week following, as Christine said, 17 different exhibits, activities, programs going on. So we'd be very grateful if people could find an opportunity even to get out to one or two of those and just show some support for the arts community in the city of Mount Pearl. Finally, Your Worship, for me, on Election Day, the 11th of October, the Reed Center and Park Place will both be used for facilities. We we don't normally like to shut down the Reed Center, but elections, federally and provincially, are two exceptions. The residents and the voters in Mount Pearl are so familiar with these two facilities in particular that we do accommodate the request to have those used as polling stations, and they'll be used for this election. By the way, knowing the fixed dates for the elections makes all of this that much easier.
Easier to do,
so
yeah.
it's we're able to better prepare for that, and we're going to be doing that again this time. That's it for me, and thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Did I miss 4? I'm sorry.
Oh, I
Yep,
thought
no,
had
thank you.
dropped it.
Well, no, it does provide me with an opportunity as well, though, Deputy Mayor, to thank our Park Patrol this year. They conclude their shifts on Thursday, September 8th, which is just a couple of days' time. One of the things that I was appreciative of, and I think all of Council was very appreciative of as well, was the fact that we got some very, very detailed reports this year on some of the activities and some of the interventions that were run by Park Patrol. Very, very quietly. They do an effective job. We've always wondered about the overall effectiveness or the ineffectiveness of having young students involved in the Park Patrol. But I think their presence, their visibility throughout the trails and the parks, and even on our streets, actually, are very welcomed and provide a little measure of reassurance to parents and some other young people as well that they are being watched. They are the eyes and ears of the police in many cases, and they do a great job. So, Mr. Tremarty, if you again would pass along thanks to the participants this year, and particularly to our municipal enforcement people and the RNC who work with the young people to do the training and provide support for them, which is so much appreciated and badly needed as well. And I'm sorry I overlooked that. I had, for obvious reasons, I had my screen enlarged and missed it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We are moving on to corporate services. Councillor Lane.
Yes, just a couple of items, Your Worship. 19 items. First item, Your Worship, we have a tax deferral here for low-income earner for the roll number listed, totaling $13,298.74, and that's in accordance with our policy for low-income earners. This is a deferral of the tax. So I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Tessier. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Next one, Your Worship, we have a request here from Councillor Walsh in accordance with our professional development training policy to attend the National League of Cities Congress, an exposition taking place in Phoenix from November 9th to the 13th. And again, that's a budget item as per our
Professional development.
Policy. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Tessier. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Next, I don't see an amended invoices for approval, so this time we're going to go with our, oh my goodness. Technology is dangerous. Falls into dangerous hands.
What did you do?
I don't know, I hit a button and everything just went,
You hit a button.
hit some button.
There's not a single button on it to hit.
There is one.
There is one.
There's one, and he found
I hit
it.
the screen and everything just went flat
There's only one
in the
button.
middle of the report.
Can we settle it down while he's got mine?
Oh, yeah, look out, yeah.
Big fingers, I think it must be, right? Anyway, Your Worship, we have invoices for approval totaling $562,346.84, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Interesting to note that the discussion of the skate park, about half the cost recognized here, $265,801 is just one invoice for this. Was $500,000, right, or more than that by the time it was finished. Anybody with a question or comment on any of the items listed 1 to 9? Councillor Walsh.
Just wanted to mention that the City of St. John's, the invoice number 9 there, $188,550.50. What we have made a representation to the committee to have something other than actual flow rates used for the allocation and payment by the 3 municipalities that put waste into the Riverhead Treatment Plant facility. A lot of the costs associated, and the reason for that, by the way, is because the entire east end of St. John's is not yet on, or at the time of the building was not on. So this represents, I think, Madam CAO, the full cost of the cost to Mount Pearl based on actual flows. But what's unfair about that, and that was the position we put forth to the committee, is that a lot of the, while St. John's was not there, we weren't predicting or expecting that our costs would be measurably higher because St. John's East was not putting flows through that system. Some of the other costs like insurance, staffing, snow clearing, those are set costs. That has nothing to do with flows. So what we agreed finally is to put it in the hands of our city managers or CAOs for the 3 participating municipalities and base it on something different than actual flows and also not what we had previously expected, which would have been an approximation of what it would have cost if there were full flows. And they're going to come up with something that should, we hope, save us a little bit of money. We're hoping.
Yeah, flows make sense if everybody's in.
If everybody's in and at full capacity.
That's right, but but we don't have everybody in.
Exactly. So we're hoping that we'll be able to save for ourselves some money by doing it. It's not a large sum of money, but it's in excess of $50,000, and if we can save that, we should be able to access that, and that's put in the hands of staff now to look at it. And I just wanted to make that comment. And I do appreciate the fact that members of the committee and all 3 municipalities were unanimous in their willingness to come up with a more equitable and a little bit of a fairer distribution or allocation formula for that. Thanks very much.
Thank you. No other comments. We'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Believe we actually agree on something.
We do. And is that it?
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. And you didn't destroy her iPad? Yet.
Check it.
Okay, we're moving on. Engineering Services Committee, Councillor Aker.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. There's only one item here. It has to do. The skateboard park is coming up again, and in this case, we have a change order number 2, in the skateboard park at Team Gushu. It's a credit actually of $704.50. The details you can see there, but essentially the reason for the credit is that the city removed the pole that was originally part of the contract, so we didn't really save any money. It just meant we shifted the cost from this contract to a separate contract with Newfoundland Power.
We got a total credit for the removal of the pole of $1,500.
$1,500. We got a credit for landscaping stone that was in part of the original design and part of the spec that ultimately was determined not to be required. But on the other hand, we found we had to spend $8,162
to remove rocks.
on removing rocks. So the net of it all is the contract's been amended downward by $704.50, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Aker. It is seconded by Councillor Stoyles. All those in favor, contrary minded, motion is carried. Planning and Land Use, Deputy Mayor, you're on the floor.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. Quite a few items here. So the first one here has to do with the Mount Pearl Development Regulations, Amendment number 213/2011. Dealing with light industrial convenience store amendment. We had a request, the city had a request from ND Dobbin Properties Limited to amend the land use zone. They want to put a convenience store at their property on 6 Alston Street. But currently the light industrial use zone does not permit convenience stores. As per our practice, notices were distributed. A public briefing session was scheduled for the 30th of August. We received no representations. As a result, the session was cancelled. The report or your kit here has the background, the context, the history, the considerations. The Planning and Development Department had no objections to this request. Committee agreed. We saw it as a complementary use within the light industrial.
This is a big gas bar as well, right?
Yes, up there on that sort of along Kenmount Road and Alston Street. So we saw it as a good fit. So as such, our committee is recommending that Mount Pearl Development Regulations Amendment number 213/2011 be adopted by council, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded by Councillor Aker. Question or comment?
It is a great location.
All
indeed.
those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Okay, just got to get through
all of the material associated with that.
The next
now.
item, Your Worship, deals with the commercial space inventory report for 2011. one of our this year's planning students, Mr. Andrew Smith, he undertook the commercial space inventory, and he implemented several improvements to the content format of this report, and he improved the methodology. So any students, subsequent students, or subsequent personnel undertaking such an inventory report, it'll be much easier to do so. This is for FYI, but just to highlight, you have the table of contents there and the executive summary. And it shows, for example, that the total commercial gross floor area of the city increased by 9.93% from 2010 to 2011. In terms of the gross floor area, Donovan's Business Park still remains the centre of our commercial activity, although other regions certainly are growing within the area. The breakdown there of our commercial uses for the city, as you can see, is 21% for office use, 25% for retail, and 53% for warehouse. So there are some of the highlights of the report. And as is indicated, if you wish to see the report, the full report is available upon request through the Planning and Development Department. So our committee is recommending tabling this commercial space inventory report for 2011, and we're recommending the acceptance of this report, and also that we post this report to the city's website, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is a variance request for the property at 12 Dunrobin Street to reduce the minimum minor side yard from, it's a 6% variance that's being requested here. All the details are outlined, but as was indicated, a public notice was required. This application was sent to 50 property owners within 150 meters of the subject property. The deadline for submissions was the 26th of August. We received none. So as such, the Planning Department sees no issue with this, no objection to this variance request, and the committee agrees. So we're recommending that the variance requested to reduce the minimum minor side yard, again at 12 Dunrobin Street, to 1.13 meters to accommodate a single dwelling be approved, and the development permit be issued subject to the 4 conditions outlined there, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, has to do with an application from DCM Development, and this involves the subdivision of some land at number 3 Orchard Avenue. And what they're proposing to do is to demolish the existing structure there and replace the single dwelling with a double dwelling, 2 semi-detached units. Again, there's a map and an aerial view of the property. It is quite a large piece of land there. So they're recommending again to demolish the existing structure and to put up semi-detached. The Planning Department again has no objections to the proposal with the existing dwelling being removed and this new structure being built. The committee agrees with this and is recommending that this proposal to subdivide and create 2 building lots and develop a double dwelling at 3 Orchard Avenue be approved, and that a development permit be issued subject to the 5 conditions outlined there, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
The next item, Your Worship, has to do with, the Council may remember this from last year. On August 23rd of 2010, we issued a subdivision development permit to Gordon Development to develop 6 lots along the northern side of Farrell Drive. This development permit expired August 23rd of this year, and on the 30th of August, the department received notice from the developer that they wish to proceed with the development this year, and they're requesting a renewal of the development permit. There's been no change to the development. Nothing has been done on this, so essentially they just want to renew a permit for the same sort of development. As such, the committee is recommending approval, again, for a 6-lot residential subdivision on Farrell Drive, and that a new development permit be issued in accordance with Regulation 63 of the City's Development Regulations, 1988, the residential high-density and medium-density land use zone requirements and conditions as outlined and approved under the development permit, issued in 2010, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, questions or comments? All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Okay, just trying to get through here. Absolutely. Absolutely. The next item, Your Worship, has to do with a request from the resident at 20 Scammell Crescent to widen their existing driveway by 1.82 meters, or about 6 feet. So it would bring the total width of their driveway from 12 feet to 18 feet. As it indicates there, the zoning for this property is residential medium density and is row dwelling unit, and our regulations with respect to landscaping stipulate that with the exception of row dwellings and apartment building lots, the minimum area to be landscaped is not less than 50%. So in this case, it's a permitted action, and as is outlined there are several properties along this area of Scammell Crescent where this has been done, and in fact some of their full properties, full front yards have been paved. This one, if you look at the aerial view, you can see between 20 and 22 Scammell Crescent, there's an extended sort of landscape spot there. So, you know, the expansion of this driveway doesn't seem to be problematic. You'll still have some nice grassed area there. So the committee is recommending that this application to widen the driveway from 1.82 meters to 5.5 meters be approved, subject to city forces completing the curb cut down, and of course all municipal regulations being met and appropriate fees being paid prior to giving approval of this permit. And I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
And the next item, Your Worship, here has to do with a very good news story, actually, with the proposed gymnastics building by Campia Gymnastics on 21 to 27 Old Placentia Road. I think it was July the 15th that we held a public information session here in Council Chambers, chaired by Councillor Walsh, who I might add did a good job on that particular night. As Council will remember, and the public will remember, this was a site that we proposed to have the dog park, but residents in the area were not accepting of the dog park to be located here. But in this case here, during the public briefing session, there was no major concerns about this. So it's a good fit for this building. I think the building is, 12,000 square feet with 98 parking spaces. It's a good fit there. It's it's land that we have available, so the committee is recommending that the application from Campia Gymnastics to occupy and use vacant city property, again located immediately east of 19 Old Placentia Road, between 21 and 27 Old Placentia Road, for the purpose again to construct a new building with associated site improvements for the use as a gymnastics club. So we're recommending that this be approved and that a development permit be issued, subject to 4 conditions here. The first is that we receive a submission of a more detailed plan or plans by Campia Gymnastics. Secondly, that Campia Gymnastics enter into an agreement with the city regarding the use of the city-owned property at this location. Thirdly, that the development meets the standard development regulations and requirements of the city. And the final is that the development meet the conditions and requirements as set out by the Planning and Development Department, the Community Services Department, and the Engineering Services Division. And I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. I have to say, this does constitute a good news story, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
At long last. It's one area where we've had a tremendous amount of growth has been in the whole area of gymnastics. We haven't been able to really accommodate them adequately. I think we're finally coming up with a solution to their issue and to their problem. So good work on everybody's part with all of that. Questions or comments?
Just one final comment there. I had again, comment today over lunch with a fellow teacher who's not from Mount Pearl, but made the comment that...
What? We allow teachers not from Mount Pearl to teach in Mount Pearl? How did that happen?
You spoke to them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you talked to them?
I actually shared a meal with them.
Oh, my God.
But the reason I brought this up
Oh,
was
my Lord.
the compliments that he extended towards Mount Pearl and how well planned the city was. And he learned of this Campia Gymnastics. And he'd like to see, once our new recplex is built, that maybe there could be some synergies between the schools and all the sporting facilities that we have in the city. And he heaped huge praises on the city and compliments on the city. So
I would think that is actually going to be in the process of that whole thing when that facility gets built. Yes, Councillor Lane, of course, will for the next month take credit for all of that.
All right.
Everywhere you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was my final comment. So did we?
Would that call the question? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through here. All right.
You're up to Hillside, I think.
Yes, the next one here is the Hillside Living Subdivision Development. The department is in receipt of a signed subdivision development agreement for the Hillside Living Subdivision Development Phase 1A2. The developer in this case is Leopard Canada Limited, and they're proposing to construct 39 single-family detached units, both with and without subsidiary apartments, on lots number 9 to 46, inclusive on Penberry Close. And again, this is located on the north side of Blackmarsh Road, west of the proposed east-west arterial. The signing of this subdivision agreement is a condition of the development permit that was issued to the developer on July 21st, 2011. So we're recommending that approval be granted for yourself, Your Worship, and the Chief Administrative Officer to sign the Hillside Living Phase 1A2 Subdivision Development Agreement on behalf of the City Council of Mount Pearl, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is a confirmation of some orders, 2 orders. They've been issued to the property owners of 7 McCarthy Crescent on August the 30th and 29 Burridge Avenue on September 2nd. Pursuant to the Urban and Rural Planning Act, a confirmation of the order is required by Council. As such, the recommendation is to confirm, or the confirmation of the issuance of the orders to the property owners of 7 McCarthy Crescent and 29 Burridge Avenue, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Now, one of these is the issue of a third dwelling, right?
Yes.
A third home inside
the dwelling.
29 Burridge.
There's no permit.
Which there's no permit for it, but we do allow it, do we not? Are there no circumstances at which we would say you could have 2 apartments, let's say, in your house?
No, not in that zone.
Not in that zone, but I'm not talking just that zone. I'm just saying, in the city of Mount Pearl, do we not have areas where a primary dwelling and then 2 subsidiary apartments, let's say, could exist inside that dwelling?
We have no zones that will permit it, Your Worship.
We have no zones that will allow that, eh?
No, Your Worship. We do have some homes that, under previous, regulations or circumstances were approved.
There's a couple around that are grandfathered in.
Yes, Your Worship. Yeah. In this case, there was no permit issued. Matter of fact, it was brought to our attention by a complaint.
Yeah.
And then when we looked at it, didn't meet the zoning. The code requirements are somewhat questionable as well in terms of its compliance.
So this third apartment or second apartment has to come out of there.
Yes, Your Worship.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else with questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call it. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is the development permit list for August 19th to September 2, 2011. We have 5 items here. Some home-based businesses, accessory buildings, new office, warehouse building, and I move that this be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary-minded, motion's carried.
And the last item, Your Worship, for me is the building construction permits for August 22nd to September 2nd, 2011. During this time period, residential permits totaled $1,012,600, and commercial permits during the same time period totaled $5,000, bringing the total for this time period to $1,017,600, and I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
That's it for me, Your Worship.
That's it. Our last item on the agenda today would be new business. Last week we started to the right. This week we'll go to the left. Councillor Tessier.
Really, the only thing that I had was, again, a message of awareness to drivers this week, tomorrow particularly, to be on the lookout for the children. Also, it's always a good idea, especially on the first day of school, to leave your house a little earlier than you normally do, because it avoids frustration. It allows people to still get to work on time and get everything done that they need to do and still keep safety in mind, always, as it should be.
Just trying to get kids to bed tonight.
Oh, I can't even think about it. I, for one, am very glad. I was telling Councillor Stoyles earlier, it's really hard on a parent when you work and your kids are off for the summer and they're up quite late at night. And boy, I tell you, you're burning the midnight oil with them because they're not quiet people. They're not, so I'm pretty happy. You know that commercial, it's the most wonderful time of the year?
There it is.
It really is.
Councillor,
Not all sad teachers.
Councillor Lane.
I'm going to actually turn my mic on this time.
Good.
Look at that. Couple of things. I know. Couple of things. First point I wanted to make was on Blackmarsh Road, the hillside development, I think is great. I think I mentioned this one time before, but I don't recall it coming up at any committee of the whole or whatever, so I'm just going to at least bring it up. If it hasn't been referred to planning and land use, to at least have a look at it. As we know, in terms of our ability to grow outwardly, is becoming more and more of a challenge. We have to look at ways of intensifying our growth and so on. I see Black Marsh Road as an opportunity here in that it's great that we're going to have this development here. As you may recall, at one point in time, there was a developer who had proposed to develop the entire length of Black Marsh Road with big condos and so on, and we know that it fell through. But the piece of land that's currently being developed as part of the hillside development would take us, say, from the boundary of Mount Pearl St. John's, coming, I guess we'd say south, I'd call it, or west, or whatever, or southwest, or whatever you want to call it. And it would go, say, it would end halfway between that boundary and Topsail Road. And now we have another parcel of land next to it, which would be the Dooley land, Dooley property and so on, which is not yet part of any development. At one point it was supposed to be, but I think that it's not anymore. It's still for sale, as far as I know. I stand to be corrected. It's still for sale.
You could be right. I'm not sure.
I think it is still for sale.
I think so. So, with that being said, when we look at our opportunities here in terms of increasing our tax base and development and everything, we're talking about the need for office space and so on. I think we really should, as a city, at least examine that portion of land, to look at, is there some way that should be zoned commercial or office or whatever to encourage some industrial development, business and so on, where we can get the business tax, hopefully go up multi-story and so on, as opposed to just building more houses. Because as we know, as you're building more houses, it's great, to have houses, but at the end of the day, that's really not bringing you any additional tax revenue in terms of the business tax and so on that we need in order to continue to be vibrant and to keep our tax rates down. So rather than see every little piece of, every bit of land that's left go all the way of residential, I would say that that's an area that we could at least look at and consider whether or not that parcel of land could be commercial in nature versus residential in nature. So I refer that to planning and land use to at least have a look at that. The only other point I wanted to make, and I was actually going to do this at our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks' time, until I realized on my way here that the writ will be dropped for the next provincial election on 2 Tuesdays from now. I assume that's going to happen sometime before 4:15, which would be our regular council meeting.
Correct.
So it had been my intention, actually, to attend the next council meeting. But now that I realize that, just came to me actually, coming down here, that the writ would be dropped prior to that, I would just say right now that it would be my intention that once the writ is dropped, I will be taking a leave of absence from council for the 3-week period starting Tuesday the 20th of September. And I'm not required to do that, but I choose to do that because I think it's the right thing to do and to be fair and equitable and so on and not have any perceived conflicts of interest. So officially, I guess, the 20th, once the writ is dropped, I will be stepping down temporarily from council. If I am successful in the upcoming provincial election, most likely what I would plan on doing would be to come back for the week, to clue up things, and then say my farewells at the following public council meeting and do it there.
Okay.
So I'll just, at least for the record, that's what I plan on doing after I beat up the microphone. That's what I plan on doing anyway now, so I'll just put that in the record, okay?
Thank you,
and
sir.
I won't be at the next meeting.
Thank you, sir, very much. Deputy Mayor.
I had a question actually regarding something that Councillor Walsh brought in with the park patrol. Last year, did we not extend the park patrol until later in October? Did we keep a couple on last year? And are they finished now? So all of the park patrol will be finished?
Yes, they'll all be finished as of the 8th.
Okay, so there'll be no continuance like we had last year?
No.
Okay.
Wish we hadn't announced it until after the 11th.
After the 11th?
Yeah. I wish we hadn't announced there was going to be no park patrol until after the 11th.
After the 11th of what?
September. No. After the weekend instead of the night before it.
School back and everything like that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Is there a reason why we can't extend it again this year? The weather is quite nice.
We there is a little bit of budget room because we actually went with the 11 park park patrol this year as opposed to 12. So there's potentially some budget space there, and some of them were requesting that we do so. In consultations with Superintendent Tilley, we decided that we would just leave it for this year.
Mhm.
We would finish on the 8th. I can bring it back to Superintendent Tilley to reinvestigate that if that's council's desire.
No, I think obviously what Superintendent Tilley is doing is he's doing a little performance test here based on measurements from last year and this year, and going to run a little comparison. I have no problem with him doing that. Let's carry on as planned.
Well,
my only thought was I would not have announced at the public meeting on the 6th that the park patrol is ending on the 8th, when this is going to be the first weekend after back to school. I would have waited till next Tuesday.
Well, this was my point actually
But anyway.
of raising it, and it has to do with a telephone call I had last week from a mother actually in Mount Pearl. And of course, she called rather distraught over this whole initiation that's been taking place and stuff like that. And again, having gone through it myself as a parent with my two boys and my younger boy in particular, who received a severe beating from this whole initiation process, and the frustration that one experiences as a parent, and the sense of helplessness, and your child being terrified for a couple of weeks. This lady was on about her child, and her child has been terrorized the whole summer, like where she's been carting the child around from place to place, and I know last year I know that I didn't hear as much of it. It tended to die down, but the initiation tends to take place within the first 2 to 3 weeks. So my concern was, or my question was, that if we kept the park patrol on in the evenings, it may be more eyes and ears on the trailways where this takes place, and that's why I raised that question about the park patrol as just another form of patrol to try to prevent these beatings from happening. So that's why I raised that question.
Could I just respond to it?
Well, let Mr. Tremarny respond first because he was waving. All right, I'm going to defer to you, Councillor Walsh.
Well, thank you. And if you need to add something, by all means, maybe we will just have a quick discussion about the potential of keeping some people on. One of the things we have to remind ourselves of is the people who comprise Park Patrol for the most part are students, and they're going back to school themselves, taking on a full load of courses at the university, etc. So it's an extremely busy time for them as well, and so to keep them all on would not, all 11 would not be probably possible or even affordable. But I think last year what we did do was keep a presence on, and we basically applied the resources that we had for the weekend, after hours, that sort of thing. So maybe we'll have another look at that. But this is probably one of the times when we get definite spikes in activity. Another one, of course, is just as school ends.
Right.
It's always for a week or 10 days or a couple of weeks that then things normally run its course and things calm down a little bit. And back to school again, there's a little bit of the initiation. On that, Deputy Mayor, I have to say I was really flabbergasted and disappointed to see a professional sports group in the paper, even though this was not a spanking of sorts, but it was a picture in the paper of a professional baseball pitcher carting an umbrella, a Barbie umbrella or something, and a little pink and white and yellow cart behind them. And all that I could think of, all that struck me at the time is, if these sports, people who are idolized in many cases by young children and teenagers,
okay.
if they think that this is good, what kind of a message is that sending to your hockey teams and your baseball teams and your school children? And it's all the wrong message, even though this may be to them harmless fun, and it's not violent and it doesn't involve a spanking or any of those kinds of initiation rites. It's still the message, and the message is, as soon as I saw it, that's all I could think about. Like, this is the wrong message to be delivering. And so, if we can in any way contribute to minimizing the risk to young people, with the initiation back to school, and I hope to God that that is, if not eradicated, definitely minimized. I don't know how you fully control it, but I think in the last few years, Deputy Mayor Locke, a lot of school principals, school boards, parents, and advocates of all kind have really stepped up and tried to take a stand against it. So I hope I hope it really will not be as much of a problem this year.
Right.
And we will look at the park patrol piece.
Let me just speak to it briefly. Some of the staff, some of the park patrol staff did bring it up and did indicate that they could stay on. So that's how the initial question started. We can approach them again and just see if you're still interested in staying on for an extended period of time, and we'll see how many days within budget we can handle. And just as Councillor Walsh indicated, a lot of them are students, a lot of them are gone back to school, gone back to full-time jobs or what have you. So we probably won't be able to get all of them on, but certainly get a good handful to help keep a presence out on the trails. Yeah.
Absolutely, and as Councillor Wall said, it tends to be in the first couple of weeks, and then, you know, kids settle back down and stuff like that. So I did want to bring it up. I mean, I spoke with this lady probably on the phone for 30 minutes. There wasn't much I could offer to her, as, you know, I mean, as Councillor Walsh alluded to, like, obviously we'd like to eradicate it, but I don't know, and if we can just get the message out to the parents to be vigilant. I mean, the girls tend to use these bingo dabbers, and they blot the female faces. But the guys, I know in cases they've used, you know, hockey sticks, goalie sticks, you know, the paddle of the goalie stick with beer bottles nailed on backwards. The stoppers of the beer bottles nailed on backwards so that the sharp edge is out, and that's what they're beating these kids with. So for the parents out there, I mean, know what your kids are doing. You know where your kids are on a Friday and Saturday night, and if they're down in the basement, you know, building these weapons, well, you know, you got to step in there. So, but it did drop down last year, anecdotally from my perspective, in terms of the incidence of it. And you know, kudos to the graduating class last year, because they had the mindset that no, we don't need to do that. So I was really encouraged that maybe it was a trend starting where they weren't going to be doing this. But again, I really felt for this mother, you know, because again, her child and the child is terrified to go to high school, which is wrong.
That's the bullying piece.
And just and I said to her, she said, Jim, what do we do? I said, listen, if I knew that, you know, it's anyways, education, encourage the parents to keep an eye and stuff like that. That's the first item. The second thing I wanted to bring up, Your Worship, is they were doing some work, Mr. Lush, on Commonwealth and Smallwood Drive there. Were they putting in traffic-activated lights there Saturday night, in the night time? So that's what they were doing. So I know you sent an email to me. So there's two systems. One is just beneath the surface. So what do? Plane some of the pavement off and then put in these sensors. Are they sensor activated? Are they weight activated? Some of the residents were asking me how these systems actually work. So
they're both the same type of system. One's saw cutting, and the other ones are buried under the asphalt and conduit.
Okay.
It's an electric current with an induction loop. That's how it works. They both work the same way.
So weight activated?
No, the electric field changes when the presence of the car over the top, and the controller recognizes it. So they're both the same.
Okay.
Traffic activated.
Yeah, it just senses based on the electrical current, how it breaks the electrical current.
Okay, and what's the cost on installing some of those? Like the one where they put the cut in the road? What are we talking here?
Cut in the road is probably going to be about $5,000. The dig up and put the more expensive solution is in the neighborhood of $40,000.
Okay.
So there's two being done this year. Up on Old Placentia, those are dig-ins.
Right.
And you'll see the one on Nelders being cut in. The one down here on Ruth and Park is being cut in. And I think there's another one to be cut in back on Duns Road.
Okay. Are there any lights in the city that aren't traffic activated, or do they all have some form of traffic?
They all have some form of traffic
activation.
The problem is that the ones that are cut in the surface in the wintertime, when we put so much salt on the roads, they don't last as long as we'd like, and it's expensive to go back and undertake burying all the loops under the road. You still get an occasional problem with the buried one, but usually you just go to the surface mounted ones.
Sure.
So.
Okay. That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Stoyles?
I have a couple of items. Just before I came to council this evening, I received a call from a gentleman who lives on Park Avenue about a large dog being loose on the pathways down around Twin Brooks and up towards behind the Legion and the walkways. And he was very concerned. He had been out walking and encountered the large animal without a leash, and the owner was there and was letting the dog run wild, and he had made a remark and was snapped at, not by the dog, by the owner. Anyway, he asked if we could have our animal control officers go down that way. I sent an email off to Mr. Lush asking that our staff would go down. Apparently is something that this gentleman has been doing quite often, and of course a lot of people are afraid to walk in that area because of the large animal out roaming by themselves, even though the owner is there. A lot of people certainly are scared of especially big Dobermans and big animals. So I wanted to mention that in public. Also, Your Worship, the Church of the Good Shepherd, for I guess just about a year now, they started a lunch program. Probably the first one that I know of anyway in Mount Pearl, that they offer a free lunch every Wednesday to the public. Anybody can come in off the street and go to this lunch. I went on all summer, and first when they thought about doing it all summer, they were half concerned they wouldn't get the people, and I attended it several times this summer myself, and they had large numbers. And now with September coming, they're hoping to have even more people come. This weeks that they had to have 2 settings, they've had such a great crowd. So if any council would like to pop by, or any of the residents listening, I think they would love to see you. Anybody wants to go, it's a free lunch, but if anybody would like to make a donation, you don't have to, but it's basically a free lunch. And I tell you, it's certainly good home-cooked food, so it's really good. And the last thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship, is happy birthday to you.
Well, you could have saved me some trouble and avoided that one. Thank you, Councillor, very much. Councillor Walsh.
Well, kept secret, Your Worship. Happy birthday.
Not nearly as well as you think.
No, not nearly as well as you think. You just have to tune in. That's it.
That's it.
I want to congratulate our men's and the ladies' Challenge Cup teams. The ladies, unfortunately, were eliminated in the semi-final play on the weekend. The men took the Holy Cross. I think Holy Cross was undefeated, Councillor Aker, throughout the entire season, and they were the defending champions for Challenge Cup soccer. Our men's team, under the, I guess, tutelage of Walt Maven and Mike and the entire staff there, took them to a scoreless draw, and then it went to penalty kicks. I think both teams scored in overtime, and eventually got decided in penalty kicks. So, you know what a huge game that was. Unfortunately, I was out of town and didn't get to see it, but I got to see 2 games for the entire year of Challenge Cup play this year. One of them happened to be a game against Holy Cross, though, and they had been saying throughout the year, I think we can beat these guys, and it's obvious that they can. If you can take them to a scoreless draw and then eventually lose in just penalty kicks, there's not a lot to choose between the 2 teams.
No, sir.
I want to pass along, again, heartfelt condolences to the Fleet family. Harold, of course, is a member of our planning department, and I knew his father. And his father, of course, as a younger man, was an extremely involved individual in Mount Pearl. He was a real estate developer and a land developer. He was involved with the Legion. He actually served on council for 1 year. I didn't get to his funeral, but I did manage to get to the funeral home and pay respects to the family and to Harold and others. So I just wanted to acknowledge his passing in the chambers today as well. And again, thank everyone who is associated with the public consultation related to Campia. I know Campia are going to be delighted with this outcome. I think the residents in the area of the proposed development were tremendously, I think, helpful, insightful, and understanding. They did ask a lot of questions, but at the end, there was really no negative representation at all during that public consultation. And as you said, Your Worship, I think this Campia proposal will be a tremendous asset for many, many, many years to come, and we will now be able to proceed and work with Campia to develop that lease agreement. I want to thank Brian and staff of Community Services, and especially the planning staff, who on that night and in a lot of weeks in preparing for that did an incredibly good job. So thank you as well, Mr. Yefjak, and to your staff. It turned out well. In my years on council, and I suspect in all, if I were here for 3 times as long as I am, and I'm here 10 years, I've never seen the chamber so filled, and I never saw it so filled with youthful energy and support for the Campia proposal. So it was great to see that as well, and I think they're going to be really pleased with it. And in the end, I think it's going to be a great development for the city, for that area. It'll be a great fit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Councillor Aker, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nothing at all? All right, on that note, entertain a motion to adjourn. Councillor Tessier moves.
Actually, no, not yet. Should we not give you a little chorus of happy birthday?
I was saying the same thing.
Turn your mics on, folks.
Really, guys?
Happy birthday to
This is off, right? The internet's over.
Birthday, dear Randy.